Okay, so what you mad about? Arr! Mm. Arr. Arr. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, you be mad. You be mad. I'm just gonna be over here. Hey, what's up? This is Ray with Get Real Ray, a place and space for life and business tips from this creative soul to hopefully inspire you on your journey. Yeah, or at the very least, provide you with some laughs. And so let's get real. Let's get real about the fact that I've got notes. I made notes. So when you see my eyes go off camera, it's because I wanted to look at my notes and make sure that I deliver a very helpful and informative little video for you. Whoever you be who watching this is for you to help. I try. Okay. So, I was doing a little thinking, right? Just finished my taxes for 2024. So the year is 2025 when I'm recording this. I know I have, if you're someone who's watched a couple of these videos, you may have heard me talk about my backlog in videos and my to-do list. But this video has been recorded in 2025. I just finished my 2024 taxes. And I found myself a little mad at myself, right? I'm like, Jiminy Crickets, how can I owe this amount of money? Like, this is crazy. And then I had to give myself a little grace and say, okay, even though I did not follow through on my intention is always to be able to make those timely quarterly payments so that when taxes are due the following year, I don't have a huge bill to pay. And there seems to be this kind of pattern for me where I have the plan and then some major disaster happens in life. Like if you are someone who lives in California or Florida, then you live there knowing at some point there's probably going to be a major natural disaster. It's just a given. It's a given. The same way if you live in a country where there's like typhoon season or something like that, you just know at some point you are exposed to some sort of major disaster. And being a solopreneur, I feel like it's just par for the course. I, at some point, will be exposed to some major disaster. Business is just up and down. I was listening to a podcast where the speaker was talking about her business. She said that she came from an entrepreneurial family, and she was discussing how the recent tariffs in the United States were negatively impacting her business. And she was struggling to be able to pivot as quickly as she needed to because she was able to prepare for one kind of disaster and then there would be a change in policy. And so then she had to figure out, wait a minute, I have to shift gears and now try to prepare for this other kind of disaster. Okay, all right, I had a backup plan. It wasn't really supposed to be adaptable to this thing, but it's a backup plan and we can make some modifications. We can go with this. And then another policy change all within a matter of 24 hours. And so now there's this other shift and she's like, I don't even know if my business can now adjust to this new policy change. And it was a lot. It was a lot that she was going through. I really felt for this person and for her business. She had achieved this major milestone of getting into some very major retailers to sell her product. And now just, with a few choice words, a few strokes of a pen, her businesses might, if she wasn't the strong person she was, then I would be tempted to say her businesses might disappear. But it was clear that by the end of the conversation, she had decided she was not going to give up the fight. And so even if it is not the best financial sense for right now, she might continue her fight. And if need be, don't sell in the US, right? I've got product that's already in a warehouse in another country. Let me look at getting some buyers in other countries. And maybe I'm just a US based employer, but not with sales in the US. And so I really appreciate the conversation. I'm going to link it in the show notes so that way you have access to this amazing podcast episode. And she was mad as hell. She was. And I don't blame her, right? Especially when only hours after that podcast episode, the so-called current president, I don't even want to call this man the president. I want to say the guy who happens to be occupying the White House at the moment, chose to exempt smartphones and computers from the tariffs. And now he's chosen to, just hours later, right, chose to exempt car makers. So basically, okay, so the guys in Silicon Valley are a little mad at me, and oh wait, now Elon's mad at me too, so I guess I won't do that. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. This is why I don't want to say, like, this is not, how can you be a president? You don't know how to run things. But anyway, just look at his track record of failed businesses. So I got my notes. This was in my notes, but we not gonna get off track. See, mad as hell. This lady was mad as hell, and I was mad at myself for seeing how much I owed and not being able to follow through with my initial plan, which was to make these quarterly payments, which is what you're supposed to do. That is what you're supposed to do. I know what the rules are. I studied these rules before I started my business. I said, I'm going to make sure I follow the rules. And yet, I feel like my life has been a series of natural disasters. Now, to give myself a little grace and cut myself a little slack, I guess I could also say, some of the adjustments have been by pure choice. Some of them I felt have been reactions to things. And so now I'm at a point in my business where sales are down. I am currently in the busy season. Actually, I think the busy season is coming to an end. And I haven't been busy, which is heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking for me. And I found myself last night going, is it time to shut it down? And when I look at my numbers overall for 2024, I say, well, no, it's not time to shut it down, because the overall numbers are the same numbers I would be making if I was working a full-time job for someone else. Like if I got back into the workforce, this is the salary I'll be starting at. So it can't be time to shut it down. And yet, then I also go, well, where's the money? Because I wasn't out there shopping. If I could look in the driveway and see a really nice car, or if I could look at my suitcases, if you haven't been following my videos, then here's a little side note. I am traveling house sitting right now. And so that's why I'm looking at suitcases. So if I can look at my suitcases, open it up and see lots of cool, expensive clothes, or just lots of clothes, that would be great. But that's not the case. I recently went shopping at a thrift store about a month ago, and it was the first time I had been clothes shopping in 8 months to a year, maybe. I wear mostly the same clothes. They are functional. They look decent. As long as there's no major holes or major smells, I feel like I'm good to go. I don't need to dress to impress when I work from home, and, if I was working in person, I might care to dress to impress more, to set my students up for, wanting to have goals. But this is actually a new top. But you know, for a long time I was teaching a lot of movement classes, and so I needed layers, and I needed to be able to comfortable sweating in my clothes. It was just, you know, a nice enough top that I could sweat in and not look disgusting, but I also need to be able to like move and function in these clothes. So all this to say that my wardrobe has not been fancy, but has not needed to be fancy. I have worked in public schools where I've seen teachers walk in like 4-inch stilettos, $500 shoes, and you know, the whole outfit is like, oh, here's another $300 for what I'm wearing. And I'm thinking, you're a teacher? Like, this cannot, is your whole salary just discretionary income? Like, I'm not understanding. Are you just wallowing in debt? Do you just have a family with lots of money? Are you married and have a spouse who has lots of money? Because this makes no sense to me whatsoever. None. So I also don't go out to fancy restaurants. I took a break from buying certain vitamins for a bit because I was just like, I need to focus on paying down my debt. And well, if I don't spend money, then where does this debt come from? And this is where I get to choices. I made some choices. So right before, I'm just gonna make this super quick because I've mentioned these things in other videos. So right before the pandemic, I took out a big loan because my employment was stopped. This was before the pandemic. My main source of income was stopped due to some false allegations, shenanigans, and I could not do the work I was used to doing. And ultimately I was cleared of all that stuff, but I took out this loan so that I could pay off taxes and get back on track with my finances. Now, lo and behold, once the pandemic happened, my business was able to grow, and I set aside money so that if things got crazy with the business, when I knew sales were going to go down once people went back to in person, set aside some money, and I was able to use that money in order to keep us afloat. But the speed at which things changed was much faster than I expected, and I probably should have cut costs a lot sooner than I did, but I didn't. I tried to keep the ship afloat for much longer than most people would have. And so, choices. Also, I chose to, well, I was married to someone for a good number of years where he didn't really seem to understand or appreciate or recognize the financial position that I was in. And so I just remember us moving into this house and me just pleading, can we please just hold off until next month before getting a couch and whatever else he wanted for the living room. I was like, I don't watch TV, and we have, oh yeah, a couch and a TV. Yeah, I don't watch TV. We have a small TV that, you know, we can use, and like, I just don't have the money right now. I don't. And the response was just like, I want it now. And if you can't pay for it, then I'll just pay for it. And I'm like, I don't want you to just pay for it, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to pay you back. And I don't want you to have this leverage over me of, well, I did this, so you owe me. Yeah, not exactly the world's healthiest dynamic. But he wasn't willing to wait, and I didn't want to feel like I was in a position of borrowing. And so, you know, purchase this. And that was, we had already just made a bunch of other purchases for the home. So anyway, moved into a house that I couldn't really afford. We were renting, okay? And having to furnish this place and in a way that I couldn't really, before I was financially ready to. So these were poor choices on my part. I was like, oh gosh, here I am trying to appease this other person, and to keep this relationship afloat. I was the one who said, I think we need to move back in together. So I will put that on me. But lo and behold, it was just one thing after another. And then when I decided I wanted divorce, my therapist was just like, you know, plan it out, save money. And I said, yes, And then after a few months, I was like, nope, gotta bounce now. And I took that plunge, and it cost way more than I expected. And I got rid of a bunch of stuff, but it still cost more than I expected. So, like I said, just a series of natural disasters. They come. Even though I am always talking about plan for disasters, and I planned, I saved, and yet it still wasn't enough. And so whatever money you plan for your disasters, plan like 3 times that. I'm just saying, if you're like, 3 months expenses is what I would need, well, guess what? Something gonna happen to you. If you have my luck, then you're gonna need 3 times that. I'm just saying. So, anyhow, I was frustrated because here it is, another year where I felt like life had derailed me, and I'm just thinking, I don't even have a home of my own. I should, in theory, I should be able to look at my bank account and be like, I have almost $10,000 saved because I'm not paying rent. I'm doing this traveling. But I don't have that. I don't have it. And I can't say that I spent it. Sales have been down. And overall, last year, the numbers were good. I did exit a lot of contracts, and I cut off a lot of places where it was just hemorrhaging money. But I don't have this big lump of money saved. If anything, I was able to pay off some bills, and I'm continuing to focus on paying off some bills. But I am mad as hell that here we are, a year since I said I don't want to feel so vulnerable working with this third-party platform anymore. And I don't have a lot of sales on my own platform. And this is killing me. And I need to come up with X amount of money to pay these taxes, which means I need some like fast sales ASAP. And not just for taxes, it's just because I want to get caught up on another 2 bills that I have that I fell behind on. And I'm, making tiny payments, but it's just not enough. I want to be caught up. I want to stop feeling like this person who doesn't honor their word. Some people, they owe money. They don't care. They're just like, oh, well, I'll just get another credit card. I'll just get another loan. What they gonna do? I ain't got the money, right? This is not me. I'm not going out and eating out in the town. I'm not going out to shows. I take big risk when it comes to business, but I do calculated risk. And I say, okay, if I, like my car, if I buy this car, how long will it take me to pay it off? If I dedicate the money from this work towards this car, will I have it paid off faster than the actual loan? And so I'm always doing these calculations, and these natural disasters. And so even though I'm really pissed that I don't have this big lump of money set aside, and I'm really pissed that I can't even look at my assets and be like, well, this is where that money went. Did I say it? Did this video start with being mad? I also know that this is not my future, okay? So, notes time. I'm gonna look at my notes. And so, I also know that this is not the only thing I'm been mad about. And me being mad as hell is kind of a cyclical state. So I was on a house sit recently where the home was fine. it was not my preferred usual place, in the sense that I felt a little cluttered, and gosh, you know, she cleaned, but for me, when I stepped into the shower, I was like, oh, there's purple swirls on the wall. That's an interesting marble design. And then when I got out of the shower, I realized, no, that's like shampoo. There's purple shampoo swirls on the wall. And I thought, ew, okay. I mean, I'm not rubbing my body against the wall, but it would have been nice if that had been cleaned. And then, I go into the kitchen and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use the microwave. And then I open the microwave and I'm like, what is that? Okay, I think that's a lid to cover bowls, but it looks dirty or greasy or something. And then there's like food splotches. So I didn't use the microwave. And the dogs were super cute. And, I looked closer at one of the dogs and I was like, oh, you kind of look dirty. Maybe I'll, give you a bath or something like that. And she said, oh yeah, the dog sometimes gets like leaves and things caught in its hair. I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. And I probably would have just left it. Most house sitters would have just left it. But that night when I went to bed, I was like, what is that smell? And I thought, did somebody pee in this room? Because she did mention, oh, we have this waterproof pad on the bed just in case someone has an accident. And I thought, oh my, are you telling me your dogs come pee on your bed? Like, what is happening right now? And the dog was looking at me like, hey, Ray. And I'm, hey, dog. And I'm trying to close my eyes. I'm like, something smells really bad. I look over at the dog, and the dog's looking at me. And I thought, oh, God. And so I did give the dog a bath the next day. And I wound up taking like these lavender, Trader Joe's has these lavender dryer satchels. And so I put them on the bed with me and the dog, like one right on my pillow, so that I could breathe in the smell of lavender and not the smell of, I don't know if it was the smell of the room, because I also noticed that when I first arrived, she had the window open. And so was the room airing out because someone had exited, or was it the dog? When I did wash the dog, I noticed that there was some brown in its matted fur. It could have totally been dirt, mud. It could have also been poop. I don't want to know, right? And so, yes, I know pee and poo smell differently. I didn't say I knew exactly what I was smelling. I just knew I was smelling something that was very wrong, very wrong. But I washed the dog, and the dog, there was no smell. I also aired out the room. There was no smell afterwards. So anyway, I was mad as hell about the condition of that dog. And I thought, this is crazy. This dog has little jackets to go outside in the rain. There's all this medication you're telling me that you give your dogs if they look like they're having anxiety or if their paws hurt, but you can't even brush your dog and wash your dog properly. Like, I was mad as hell. And so I'm mad as hell about the taxes. I'm mad as hell about the condition of this dog. I am thinking about a job that I had in the past where I was mad as hell that we had requirements for our positions, and yet one of my coworkers just stopped doing her work, and she literally spent all day online looking at websites to buy clothes. And like, she couldn't collect money from her clients didn't pay, but she could speak another language. So she would if they needed to translate something, she would be like, oh, I'll do that for you. So she was an asset. I was not an asset. I was easily replaceable. I know this. And so I went to my boss and I'm like, hey, I'm mad as hell. What's happening here? Like, danger, danger. Y'all not going to get your money back from that client. And my boss was like, yeah, you're right. And so let's all sit down. Let's have a team meeting. And I looked around the team meeting and I realized this girl is checked out. She don't want to be here. And the other girl is just kind of like not wanting to get into any trouble whatsoever, so not really saying anything. And I'm the only one sitting here going, I'm mad as hell. And then my boss was just kind of like, you know what? Let's just not even worry about the rules. Let's just no rules. Let's just have fun. And I thought, what the fuck is going on here? This dude just wants everybody to like him and I thought this was a business. What is going on? Now, I will say that this business is still standing. I think both those girls still work there. I know that it was only not long after that I was encouraged to leave. I did leave, but I was mad as hell. I was mad as hell about the dysfunction of the department. I was mad as hell that I felt like I left a job that it wasn't my career, but I tried to be good at it. I wanted to be good at it. I wanted my contribution to be sufficient. And then I was mad as hell this week because I'm doing this volunteer project, and I had some very simple questions for different people. Simple questions for one of the organizers. Simple questions for my co-volunteer partners. Simple questions for the people who we are assisting. And I felt like most of those people just gave me really vague answers or no answer. Like legit, 4 people emailed, no response. I got read receipt. I can tell you saw my email. Mad as hell over here. Mad as hell. Like, why am I giving my time to this if no one gives a shit? I'm sorry, but what's the point? And so, this is what I've decided. And I'm going to use my notes, people, because remember, we are learning together. And that's what I want, is I want to make sure that the things I'm giving you is not just me ranting and being selfish and taking your time and energy up, but that I'm actually giving something that you can use, right? Maybe you've been in a position where you're just like, what the H is going on around here, Sonny? Everyone's lost their mind. And so here's what I came to thinking. While it's easy to go, well, if no one else cares, why should I gotta give myself a why. Because it's important to me, right? If no one else cares about this volunteer project, then why should I care? Well, I should not be angry, okay? That's useless. It's not going to help my blood pressure. It's not going to give me less wrinkles, okay? So instead of being angry, I could look at it as, well, maybe my asking questions and continuing to say, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this. Continuing to announce that will encourage others to start to think about it too. Doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't even have to be a change maker. But if at the end of the day, someone else leaves and goes, yeah, that was crazy. I want to think about that too. Then I know it was worthwhile. Then I know I did my job. Yeah. And I'm okay with not even having proof that someone else was thinking about it. This is okay for me too. And so if you find yourself in a position where you're going, well, if no one else cares, then why should I? Ask yourself the why. Answer your why. Okay, if you're just like, actually, there's no reason why I should care about it, I'm out, that's fine, right? But if you do feel there is a reason, then find a way to make peace with that reason. And then the other thing is that setting standards is getting mad about the right things. So if I was just constantly mad about everything, or mad about, oh, you know, that person cut in line at the grocery store, and why did that person come up into the theater right now in shorts and flip-flops? We're in the theater. Get it together, fool. I'm not really saying one needs to go into that zone of, well, what happened to them? Maybe their luggage was lost at the airport and this is all that they had. I'm not saying you need to go there. But I am saying that some things just aren't worth your energy. So I don't know if there's some grand list of things that are worth getting mad about, things that are not worth getting mad about. I don't know. I do think it's important to be mad about things that I'm like, okay, so this is what I was about to say. Be mad about things that impact your civil liberties and the state of the world. And I don't know that those are the right phrases. So I'm just going to say what I really want to say, which is I think it's okay to be really mad as HELL hockey sticks, mad as hell about what is going on with Russia attacking Ukraine. I'm mad as hell about that. And I need to find a way to show it's not okay. So that's something that I do want to spend time thinking about. And you may have your own cause that you are mad as hell about. There's a lot in 2025, April 2025, there's a lot going on globally that I don't really agree with. And, wars, crimes, atrocities happening in Africa and the Middle East. And, they're not new. They've been going on for decades. They get a little something, little tension, and it kind of goes away. Little tension kind of goes away. And I look at some of the things that are happening now in the world. And I wish we could all be mad as hell about so much more. And collectively, that anger would inspire us to think, how can we make change? And so the things that I was mad about recently, I'm okay with being mad about those things. Maybe the dog owner will think to take better care of her dog. Or maybe she won't. But for a moment, I know that dog had a really nice week and felt really loved and cared for. For that, I'm grateful. Maybe that company I left, maybe they put in some new policies or provided better training for the employees. Or maybe not. Maybe they got rid of some people. Maybe those people still work there. And maybe that company is still crap. Oh, no. But I'm not going to be mad as hell about it anymore. Because that's them. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not my problem. And if it does work, it does work. And that's not my problem either. And the volunteer project, I am gonna hope that my mad as hell put some things on people's radar and that they get whatever they want out of it. Whatever you want out of it is great. But I did my part. I'm proud of the work I contributed. I'm proud of bringing things to people's attention that needs to be brought to people's attention. So that I'm okay with. And my taxes, I am using my mad as hell to continue to push me forward in creating change. So I can't continue to be even though every natural disaster, life disaster, the impact is less, I look forward to the day. It's supposed to be in 5 years, but I want it to be a heck of a lot sooner. I look forward to the day when I can say, I don't have debt. No, I don't have debt. I don't do that. Not only do I not have debt, but I know I'm going to be set for retirement. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not worried. I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, being able to continue to say, no, I keep my word. If I borrowed something, I paid it back. I pay people back. That's what I do. I'm the kind of person who keeps her word. And maybe I'm the kind of person who doesn't need to get mad as hell to create change. But if you do get mad as hell, then let it be used to motivate yourself or others. And so with the global events I have mentioned, I'm still trying to figure out what my mad as hell looks like in terms of action for that. But maybe collectively we can do something more. Yeah. I want to do something more than fly a flag, if that makes any sense. And so with that, my friends, it's been real funsies. Woohoo! And I hope you found this helpful. Take that energy, whether it's in your personal life or your business, and see how you can create change and stand by if you understand why you're feeling something, then maybe it's okay to feel that. Sometimes it's not, but you'll have to weigh it out and figure it out. All right, until next time, peace.